The scene is set within the boardroom of Ventru Tower. Sitting in one of the numerous offices is the assembled Primogen, their representatives, and the prince. Each member of the clans shuffles in silently before the prince enters. He takes his seat at the center of the table, takes a long and hard view at those assembled. Which clan Primogen turned up themselves, and who are in absentia. It takes a long moment to assess the situation, allowing the silence to drag. Before he addresses his assembled council. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you all for making it. We have much to discuss this evening, and it has been a while since we have all met. There is much on the docket, but I insist that we try and get through it all without jumping the gun. I know some of you, he says, looking around the table, are, with a small smirk on his face, chomping at the bit to discuss certain issues that relate to this city. The first topic we shall discuss is the asylum, its revenant destruction, and the being that dwells within. As many of you are aware, Haikal of Clan Malkavian entered the asylum with that of Devon Creed and Lady Tavalaris. He was separated from the coterie and had to confront the creature alone. The creature, from his report, is old. Older than we could even imagine. Coldly logical and vindictive against the other clans. Through Haikal's own morality and humanity, he was able to persuade the creature not to attack us, not to set its wrath upon our city. The creature relented, but with a proviso. We have but 1 year to prove that we are not warlike murderers, that we are peaceful beings. From the reports, Haikal says this being is ungodly powerful in the realms of the sight and other powers relating to the Malkavians, and poses a supreme threat to our lives in the city. I would like your opinions on how we should proceed with this imminent threat. I will open the floor to discussion.
Do we have any true facts to base the power of this creature on? Do we know its age, its lineage?
The only clues that were garnered through the expedition is that of the murals decorating its, and he puts up some air quotes, temple, which denotes the artistic styles of both the Aztecs and the Romans. This lends us to believe that the creature was present at the fall of Rome and fled the farther reaches of the world to escape the catastrophe that happened within that dark age. Some amongst our number believe that this ties the being with that of Apollo of Corinth, although this is shady at best, as the murals depicted a shadowy male figure, with a female depicting the goddess of the moon from Greek mythology, Artemis. The fact that Mr. Corinth, well, the Sabbat Priscus, I shouldn't give him any honorifics, was seen within the asylum breaking out an inmate, and this has been confirmed with the captive shovelhead of St. Francis Chess, which is currently being held by us. But as to the powers of the creature, we know that she has at least mastered that of domination. She can possess mortals at will, and according to High Cals, can peer into the minds of others and wrest out secrets. Confirmed facts are few, Regent, but the implications are troubling enough.
And if this Malkavian is to be believed, the creature, the Elder, will return in a year's time and we have to prove ourselves peaceful.
Apparently so.
Well, that is troubling. We are not being known for our goodwill and love to all.
The fact of the matter is we have no point of reference. Being that old will see the world in a very different light. We are practical creatures of the modern era. What we may seem as peaceful may seem barbaric to her, or vice versa. We have no way of truly telling what will appease this creature, and if even any of our efforts will be for naught, it is a Malkavian after all.
Well, I do not envy you your position, Prince. To sort out a city to the whims of Malkavian Methuselah. Quite the task. But you have my support in trying to keep this city standing.
Do any of the rest of you have an opinion on this?
Something that old and powerful to my interpretation, far beyond the resources of a small city like New Sarum, in my neonate opinion. Have we not reached out to the Archons?
I wished for confirmation from this council as well as written documentation to corroborate the story before we speak to the higher-ups. I wanted the support of all the clans in the calling in higher help.
It announced its presence to us by crawling within our dreams. I think at least most of us can agree that bringing in help on this matter would be most well advised.
I agree.
I believe Clan Tremere would be all for a call to the higher council. Perhaps a visit from an Archon is what this city needs.
A motion has been put for the table to contact the Archons of the Inner Council for dealing with this elder who will now be known as Artemis until it reveals its true name. Those in favour say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Second order of business, he gestures for Geoffrey to bring the paperwork. As I'm sure many of you are aware, that a treaty has been in its preliminary stage with that of Mr. Teflon Gary of the Anarchs. I'm sure you're all aware of it anymore, but if you need a refresher, here is the current first draft. It indicates that the Anarchs will be given the domain of the projects in exchange for controlled, well, becoming de facto Camarilla. They will obey all traditions, with minor exceptions, and be allowed the responsibility to elect a magistrate, which will act as sheriff and be given right of destruction on Anarchs only, allowing them to eat each other or, if they wish to actually cohabit and make the city better, become productive members of society. I'll open the floor to discussion.
We don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't reward criminal behavior.
Yes, this seems foolish, despite this warning from the... whatever, Artemis, for peace, giving the projects to the Anarchs. Seems folly. Shows weakness, my prince.
I understand your trepidation. The Anarch movement is not strong within this city, but it has always reappeared. We weed it out and it grows again, causes trouble and makes our entire unlives more difficult. The time for fence-sitting is over, gentlemen. The Anarchs will be controlled members of our community, or they'll be purged from our city. I will have it neither way. Wolf tried to antagonize them and failed. Lysander let them do as they wish, and he failed. It is time for decisive action one way or the other.
So you offer them domain of large swathes of the city and expect us to respect these anarchs if we so happen to enter their domain. Is that correct, Prince Stanshope? You are asking us to respect the anarchs.
They are members of the Camarilla. You will respect them as much as you will respect any Camarilla member with no status. Gentlemen, this treaty is a double-edged sword for them. Soon a schism between the old Anarchs and the young will appear. The older wishing to hold on to this power we have given them, the young wishing to rebel and chafing against the new rules and regulations. They will either devour each other, or start looking towards the other side of the fence and seeing that the Camarilla offers more. It is the soft glove, but I am more than willing to have the iron fist as well. But this treaty does not work without the support of the clans.
You're too lenient in some aspects of this treaty. I do not support allowing this mediation of violation of rights that is within it. While it is pretty on paper and good to show this so-called equality, these beings are being provided a great deal more than I think. It may give them far too big a head to compare themselves with sheriff and prince when it comes to these matters.
I fully agree with Mr. Crowley. This anarch, Gary Walsh, has been afforded far more responsibility than many of us sitting around this table. If I were to start making trouble and bashing a few heads, would you sign over full domain rights of the historic district to myself where the Chantry House sits, and then grant me rights of destruction over all of Clan Tremere, and also entitle me with the rights, I believe, of the sheriff? And if our good Sheriff Cole here wished to enter my domain to investigate Camarilla business, he would first have to treat with myself, beg and scrape to enter and carry out his investigations. If this is an offer on the table, then I would be foolish to refuse it.
In answer of the question of those who have in support of this, I claim neutrality. This treaty is something that I am considering. I will play you a video brought forward by the Malkavian Haikal, as he wishes it to be played upon this discussion. The prince will then gesture, and the ghoul will receive a laptop. The assembled kindred will watch the prepared video of Haikal. When it is over, he will press stop.
Virginia steps forward and she says, Prince Stanshope, I see that you are trying to be persuasive, but in using your soft glove approach, did Nick DeForno use his soft glove approach when he attacked me? And she drops her mask and shows the bloody gouges throughout the side of her head. I respectfully reject Laird Brehon's written up treaty.
Despite this video and High Carl supporting this treaty, I cannot give my support to this as leader of the Gangrel.
I would like to hear what your own Primogen Prince Stanshope has to say on this matter.
The topic itself is difficult to deal with. We have had troubling dealings with the Anarchs in the past, and I think, although I may not agree with many of the items in this treaty, I am in full support of my kindred, of my clan, for his efforts to reach out and possibly, if there is a slight fraction of a chance that we can achieve a peaceful coexistence, I believe it is worth looking into.
Mr. Crowley, how do you respond to this treaty?
I think there are some realms in which it could be modified to be more useful, beneficial to us. Perhaps if, well, to take up the Tremere Primogen's example, supposing rather than requiring meet with the sheriff or prince on such matters, if the Primogen of each clan were to be given a certain amount of responsibility over anarchs representing them in the city, to bring them more into the fold, so to speak, it could be made in a fashion more acceptable to those naysayers.
Those powers would only benefit a few Primogen. Some clans have far more control over their members than others.
Yes,
This is
and
very
this.
true.
I believe we are voting and not coming up with half measures at this point.
Oh, yes, the
It's not
Nosferatu Primogen is
actually,
correct.
Is I'm sure obvious. We do not stand for this treaty, and if the soft glove does not work, then I am happy to provide the iron fist.
So as it stands, I must vote against them.
Mr. Miles,
My prince.
what does Clan Bruja have to say?
It hesitates for a very long moment, feeling all the eyes upon him. I have been elected to act as a liaison and representative for my clan, and as such I must obey my elders. And my orders are to vote yes, no matter my personal emotions or feelings.
Well, with 4 against and 3 for, the treaty will not be signed and ratified. Therefore, it is time for us to deal with this Anarch problem once and for all.
From what I hear, they are small in number. Should not be too hard for the Camarilla to come together against an enemy of 3.
So long as whatever we do does not violate the Convention of Thorns.
If I may, I will personally meet with the Bruja who identify themselves as Anarchs presently, make sure they understand what has occurred, and that they must become Camarilla to save themselves, and then I will submit the listing of those who wish to remain as Anarch to the Prince's desk.
It seems that you have taken to this request, Regent, and so I will leave it to your purview and that of the Sheriff. Any Primogen here whose clanmates recognize themselves as Anarchs, I would recommend that you persuade them quite thoroughly to rejoin the fold. If they do not, well, they are no longer welcome in the city.
Understood.
I will ensure to give them
They'll be dealt with.
to change their mind, my prince, before a less subtle approach is taken.
I apologize, Regent. Could you repeat that?
In response to Mr. Miles here, I was merely stating I will give those who wish to change their mind and come into the fold adequate time to think over the situation before I draw up plans with the Sheriff to resolve this problem once and for all.
As you wish, Regent. But I'll be looking at you and Sheriff Cole and expecting swift results. As a little bonus, Anarch staked and brought to my feet. The reward for the perpetrator will be a large swathe of domain within the projects. I am fed up of that being completely uncontrolled, and so it might as well go to the most worthy Camarilla. Moving on. Last night, I received, well, a couple of nights ago actually, I received some troubling news. That we had a suspected Sabbat informant amongst our ranks. Miss Ariadne Quinn has been reported via agents to have been speaking with, on numerous occasions, Apollo of Corinth. When I summoned her to validate these accusations, she ran and was thoroughly executed in the pursuit by Camarilla agents. Seeing as we have no kindred to interrogate, we must assume that our enemies know everything.
And this informant, who was it?
Mr. Carlos España came to my desk with the suspicions of this. But I think that the fact that she turned and ran rather than speaking to me shows her guilt. This goes to show, gentlemen, that independents within our midst are a hotbed of traitorous activity. I recommend that you each look to your clans. If one could slip through our net, we do have no idea how many more can.
Did Mr. Carlos mention any other names, or was this Ariadne Quinn the only informant that we are aware of?
Apparently, the anarch by the name of Javier Rojas has been pointed out to have been selling guns to Mr. Apollo, supplying our enemies. He will be brought in shortly.
Well, there's reason enough to dispatch of one of them.
I'm sorry, Regent, repeat that?
When this anarch is brought in, I say it's an easy enough time to dispatch of one of our anarch problems, leaving only 2, I believe.
My Regent, Javier Rojas is being brought in for colluding with the enemy, nothing to do with him, anarch. That is surely not preventing the Convention of Thorns, and of course we must interrogate him thoroughly.
Indeed. But we can understand. Sorry, Mike.
If I may, my prince.
Please continue.
Considering the recent matter of these anarchs and Javier's clan affiliation with Toreador, I would like to bring this one in to you myself, if it may be allowed.
If you wish, Mr. Crowley. I always enjoy seeing Primogen take responsibility for their wayward child. But do not mistake it, I take this matter exceedingly seriously. Failure is not an option.
I intend for there to be no failure nor any mistake of overzeal.
Quite. In lieu of this, gentlemen, look to your clans. Interrogate them if you must. Anyone could be an informant. Make sure that you are aware of their actions and can be ironclad when you tell me that your clan is not affiliated, or have, even in their own ignorance, affiliated with any Sabbat agents. Also, shore up your defenses. Expand your influence. Since we have caught one little rabbit, I suspect the Sabbat invasion or incursion may happen soon, and we need to prepare for the worst.
I assure you, Prince Stanshope, if I even suspect a member of my clan to have been within 50 metres of the Sabbat, they will be roundly dealt with.
Well, on to lighter matters. Due to the form of the tithe, which many of you have paid, although some of you are still waiting for checks to clear, he says, staring at Mr. Miles and the Regent, we have a good pool within the trust to start expanding and developing our city. I would like your opinions on what areas we should start investing in and how we will shape this city in our image in this new and glorious era.
I hear the projects may be in need of investment when it is soon to become part of my domain.
And how would you see this area? Will it be somewhere for low-rent housing to put in low-income workforces, or something more of a tourist trap, or perhaps to further education within the lower strata of society?
Prince Stanshope, you know me, I am a man of books. Education is much required, adult literacy courses, community centres. The more educated the populace, the better they can serve us.
Are there any other suggestions? I quite like that idea. Education is a wonderful thing for the kind. the betterment of oneself breeds such beautiful delicacies.
I have been pushed to voice that the Bruja are in dire need of a proper Elysium, and that the topic of funds to request it at all costs.
Mr. Miles, if the Bruja are strapped for money, the Trust is here to help you, but Elysium is a show of strength within the clan. It would surely send mixed messages if you had to beg for your own Elysium.
I am in agreement, my friends. I would prefer we use our own means rather than borrow from this fund. Instead, contribute this fund to the betterment of the kind to increase the blood pool.
Just so. I'm sure Clan Bruja have many talented individuals within its midst, and many of the clans will be eager to exchange boons in exchange for more tertiary funds.
Of course, my friends.
Wheels of economy have to keep turning, Mr. Miles, after all. Miss Virginia, you are, as they say, knee-deep in the infrastructure of the city. Is there anything that is particularly lacking that you believe this fund can help endorse?
The one thing I haven't heard mentioned is research and development. We must always have funding for such things. As far as the infrastructure goes, whatever infrastructure improvements are taken for New Sarum, we must make sure that the contracts go through our auspices.
Just so. We have also the industrial district and the outlying power plants and water treatment center that do need to be under our purview before any of the sycophantic businessmen we have within our midst gets their filthy undead hands on it.
They can't buy everything.
No, but money is just a tool, as I'm sure you're aware, Regent. You don't need everything. You just need the right people. People are a lot cheaper than businesses. Any other suggestions around the table?
Although the kind seemed to be taking care of itself in the recent election, transit has become a major issue, especially in the downtown area.
I see. And what would you suggest, Mr. Miles?
I am not an architect or city planner, but the first thing that comes to my mind would be subways or something along those lines to let more vehicles off the roads.
I see. Do we not have a subway system within New Sarum?
Not that I
Yes.
am aware.
Perhaps the young Bruja has not ventured below the surface yet of our fair city. I will take it upon myself to acquaint him with the various subway terminals. Cole looks over at Sid Miles rather accusingly, as though looking at a mouse to eat.
Sid waves.
Maybe the expansion into the subway terminals and the underground rail might be something we should look into.
Also, my prince has come to my attention. We were speaking of Bruja earlier. The one known as Lex Chambers has come to me seeking sponsorship. He said it was required for him to stay within the city. I have given him such sponsorship.
Good to hear, Mr. Cole. It seems Mr. Chambers is quite a resourceful individual. Although keep an eye on that one. I'm not sure whether it's ignorance or genius that hide behind those eyes.
It will be done, my prince.
Excellent. Well segued, Mr. Cole. Do any of you have any other business you wish to bring towards this table? Any issues that need to be discussed with us as a cohesive whole? Mr. Miles.
Sid looks very much like a deer in the headlights at his name being called. I have not been called upon to address any more business by my elders, sir.
Very good. Miss Virginia.
The only outstanding bit of business is your mission to investigate the Department of Corrections. I found there was nothing there beyond possible Giovanni influence in the prison system. So I take it that your directive was to infiltrate, not so much as to investigate.
Ah, Miss Lucas. Once again, your tact is legendary. Speaking of private matters between yourself and me to a council table. However, the Department of Corrections is an important aspect of the city's government. It highlights many of the issues we might need as kindred to help govern the masquerade in our city, which is why I sent you on this mission to investigate the current members and find out any strings that can be pulled in our favor. If you are unable to complete this task, I can completely understand, and I will give it to a clan more worthy.
I merely state that I have found that there is opportunity there to infiltrate.
I'm
But
glad you're on the same page, Miss Lucas. It's almost as if I had thought of it beforehand, since asking you to do it.
Very well, Prince. I shall endeavor to be a bit more, show a little bit more alacrity in my undertaking here, and I'll report back to you.
Excellent, Miss Lucas. Mr. Crowley, apologies.
Has Mr. Laird Brahan brought to you yet my suggestion of services on the traitor's matter?
Yes, he sent me an email. I will be heading to the hospital straight after this, if you care to accompany me. We have to clear this little matter up very swiftly.
Excellent. Then no other matter aside from... oh no, that's something for later. That's not a court matter.
No worries. Mr. Cole.
I would also like to accompany you, my prince, to this... witness this body being treated for, despite her actions of fleeing, there is little proof. Seems rather inconvenient that she was unable to be questioned.
Yes, just so. If it wasn't for my own retainer having witnessed the incident, I would be as suspicious as you, but I will allow it.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Bernardinus.
I have no further matters to discuss. I am sure the Seneschal, when he returns from his diplomatic duties, will catch up with you, and if there is anything that I am unaware of, he will present to you.
Excellent. I would like to commend all of you for your sterling work in this transitionary period, and expect great things from each of the clans in the coming months. Trying times ahead of us, and I implore you to be stalwart members of the Camarilla. Increase your strength and your influence. The defense of the city must come first, and if we are to have visiting Archons, or heaven forfend Justicar, we will be the shining example of the New World Camarilla.
Very good, my prince. Now, if you'll excuse me, gentlemen, I have matters to attend to.
Indeed, Regent, I believe we all do. And so, with that, court is adjourned. And scene.